Hi, thank you very much for joining, whether you're seeing us in person on this on the video, or you're listening while you're walking your dog or in the car, however you like to gather knowledge. And you're going to gain a load of knowledge today, which is going to be very exciting. So you're listening to BIP Chat. BIP stands for Business is Personal. That's the juxtaposition of when an investor said to me a number of years ago, about 15 years ago, I first met them. They were brought into a board that I had assembled, and they were brought in by another board member. And this person said to me, "You know, Penny, I don't need to like you. It's just business. It's not personal." I thought, "Oh, hell." And it was hell. So I do believe business is very personal, and from many, many directions, in terms of how we interact with one another in a world where we don't have enough human touch and enough emotional contact with one another because we've become so digital, but also in the way that we treat ourselves. And we formed a community called BIP 100, and we have searched around, worked very hard. Thomas has had over 7,000 Zooms now to find really high value, very experienced, wise experts, but also have these businesses' personal values and have the values of kindness and friendship and even love. And love is a lovely high vibration, isn't it, to have in business. And it's really exciting today because we're going to be talking to Rebecca Sutherland, who we got to know this year. She has bowled us over, absolutely incredible businesswoman, and is amazing what she is doing to contribute to the community and support so many entrepreneurs in many diverse ways. I'm going to ask Rebecca in a minute to give you a little background to her, but let me tell you what we're actually going to be doing today and what you can learn. And it's around the subject of growth and investment. And Rebecca is a business investment and growth expert, and she has worked with many, many companies, including ones she invests in, ones that she has mentored, and ones that have come to her when they're looking to scale up. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and look at how we can ensure that businesses don't stay boring, keep cutting edge, keep exciting the staff and the leaders of those businesses. So we're going to understand what attracts investors. And that is a very important thing. And having gone on the investor trail 3 times when I was in my entrepreneur stage, and I always say that to me, it's very different being a small business to being an entrepreneur. And I'm now in my small business stage, which I'm absolutely loving. But when you're looking to scale up and you're an investor looking for investors, it's amazing how many rabbit runs you can go down, rabbit holes, I should say, mistakes you can make, ways you can turn off people, and really not be prepared. And so we're going to be talking about that. But it's also not just about investments, it's about how you're going to grow a sustainable business for you. So wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm looking forward to this next 25 minutes with you, where we can really dig deep into it. To start with, Rebecca, thank you, first of all, from Thomas and I for the amazing contribution to making to everyone in BIP. Just quite stunning. You're obviously an amazingly heart-giving, thoughtful entrepreneur, and I know you've chosen to use a lot of BIPers as suppliers, which is beautiful, but also to help a lot of BIPers who maybe need to pivot or look at their business in a different way. So give us a little bit of a background to your business life and what's brought you to this quite amazing wisdom that you have.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, so I've been in business now for 20 years. I'm starting my first business when I was 18. I'm not the best employee, so I think being an entrepreneur is probably the only option. And I've done all sorts in all sorts of different industries, whether that's been acquisition or business turnaround, or then helping others in their business. And most recently, it's been investing in businesses. So I tend to invest in businesses, again, in any sector, but that there's something special about them and their founder. They are trying to do things differently, with a clear purpose. Values-led businesses with clear purpose is what I look to invest in. The majority of them are quite boring in what they do, but the way they do what they do is absolutely not boring, and that's what draws me to them usually.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you've currently got in your own portfolio 6 businesses, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yes.
And are they in a particular sector? Would you know?
No specific sector. And people ask me this quite a lot, what sector do you work in? And I just say business. To me, business is business. You can apply the same things in all businesses and they'll probably work. They might need to be changed slightly, but business is business. It comes down to the same things. The sector is important in some respect. You need the experience of people from those sectors, but I actually think it's really important to have people out of sector come in to those businesses to show how it's done elsewhere. How can we change it, especially if you're in industries that are very old school. We need to shake things up a little bit. We need new blood and new ideas in, so that's really important.
And you must, I mean, choosing those businesses based on the leader must be really important to you then.
It's the most important thing. It's the first thing that I look at is, am I aligned with the owner and their values? You know, I get pitched to very often. I never look at the pitch deck. I don't look at the business plan. I immediately just want to talk to the person, because for me, that's the most important thing. The pitch deck could be wonderful. It could make me £1 million a minute. But if I am not aligned with the founder, I can't work with them. So if the business is a good idea, not being executed particularly well, we can change that. Can't change what's inside a person. I can't change what their values are. So there's no point me going any further if we have a call night. There's that synergy is just not there. It's just pointless for me.
Yeah. And one of the early conversations you and I had was how hard people find to put a business plan together.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a really clever way of actually helping them with that as well.
I think business plans can be difficult for people because it feels like a formal document. And a lot of people that I work with will tell me, we're not business owners, we just had a good idea, or we've worked in this industry a long time, we think we can do it better. So when they're faced with usually a business plan they've downloaded online, which is 56 pages long, they immediately feel that they don't have enough knowledge, that they're not good enough. And it adds to their confidence issues and it adds to imposter syndrome 100%. So when I ask people if they have a business plan, the majority of answers are no, or we did one at the beginning when we were looking for funding. To me, a business plan it's kind of like the skeleton of your business. It's to show you where you were planning to be. It's not to look at and say, well, we're not there, so we're failing. Okay, we did it this way and we didn't get to where we need to be. It's, well, how do we innovate? How do we change now? The business plan should be constantly evolving. It's not a document that you do once and you never look at again. It's a document that you do once and you build upon. Everything changes in business. We know that you have to move quickly, you have to pivot, you have to change, you have to innovate. And your business plan needs to reflect that. But a lot of people don't like it. And I think it's down to that aspect of, oh my gosh, this is too much. And I put together a business plan literally through conversation. If you talk to founders of their business, they're usually very passionate about what they're doing. They know their business inside out. And if you sit and ask them questions, they are effectively answering the business plan. They just don't realise. And what happens then, I notice, is the level of confidence goes up when I can produce the business plan based on what they have said. And they ask me, where has that come from? I said, well, it's you. Everything in here is you. So you actually do know what you're doing. You do understand your business. You do understand your market. But when you are asked specific questions or asked to fill out a spreadsheet, there's this immediate, oh, I can't do this. And this way, for me, has proven really popular with people. And it's been eye-opening to watch them go from not knowing, I don't know, to, oh, actually, yeah, no, I do understand this.
Yes.
I do know what I'm doing. It's incredible, really.
Yeah, that confidence you give people is absolutely beautiful as well. And it's amazing once you reduce people's anxiety and overwhelm,
Yeah.
they can start just getting into their flow and start channeling the way that they need to. So you mentioned this word innovation and innovate. And Thomas came back from an AI dinner the other day, and he said, the speaker there said that the world is speeding up at such a great rate, which we know that, never been as fast as it is now. And he said this scary words, which were, today is the slowest day we'll ever experience. because obviously, and tomorrow will be the slowest day we ever experienced, because everything is just on such a growth wing. And I know you've used looked at some of the experts within BIP and put them into different companies to help them out. What are the types of things that you're seeing that some of the traditional businesses are needing to really focus on to make sure that they stay in the market?
I think there's an element in some sectors in particular of there's still that arrogance around the client needs us. So customer service is not that important because they're going to have to just go with us anyway. There's an element in a lot of industries of we've always done it this way. And they have no one to tell them, well, yes, but that doesn't really work particularly well. There's a lack of asking for feedback. A lot of business owners, I think for a lot of us, there's a lot of a control issue there. And I think they're not willing to let go and get feedback from their staff or from their customers or clients. And those are the biggest things for me, where if they did that, their business could turn very quickly. If they were open to those things, if they got people in, if they asked for feedback, if they looked at the way that other sectors do things or other businesses. There's a big thing I talk about quite a lot, which is competition. And our businesses are very open. So I'm glad there are other people doing it out there. The majority of my businesses are what I kind of think of as, they are leading the way and doing it differently. And we get a lot of hate for it. We get a lot of, you shouldn't do it that way, and that's not how we do it. And when people talk to me about competition, I always say the only competition is yourself. You can look at what everybody else is doing around you, but it really doesn't matter, because the thing that people buy from people, so they don't have you. And therefore, they're not direct competition, because it's you that they are buying from. So unless you move over there, split yourself in two, and then now two businesses have got you, it's not going to be the same thing. So stay in your lane and concentrate on what you bring to the table. And when I talk to people, I ask them, what does our competition do really well? I don't work on the premise that our competition is not as good as us. They're not as good as us. We know that. But I'm not looking at I'm not asking what they do badly. I know what they do badly, but I really want to know, what do they do well? How have they got customers? And what do they do for those customers that we could potentially be looking at doing? But I think looking at competitors, looking at other people in your sector as a competitor is actually really detrimental, because what you could be doing instead is working as a community. All these people in the same sector, they're having the same problems. The founders still feel lonely. They don't understand what's going on. The markets are changing. They don't know what to do. A lot of founders will tell me how lonely they feel. So go and make friends with the people that are doing the same thing as you. That's what you need to be doing. But I think for me, it's all about being open to change, open to feedback, open to, I may not know everything. And once that happens, your business can change and exponentially grow.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. And when you're seeking to invest, are you looking for a company that's able to scale and then exit, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, usually I start with the founders and what's their exit plan? What's the point of doing it? And I like to ask them about their life. So business aside, I don't believe that we are all here to work all the hours God sends. And then, I don't believe that. I believe that you build a business because you're passionate about it. You want to feel fulfilled. So why? Why did you want to start the business? Do you want to go and pick your kids up from school every day? Do you want to drop them off? Do you want to make sure you're at all their plays? Do you want to go on holiday 12 times a year? What is it that you want to do? And we start there, and we have the conversations about, what does your life look like in 5 years, 10 years, or, when you're 60, what do you want to be doing? And we start to work backwards. How does the business fit in around your life plan? Not what is the plan for the business around, and then your life is kind of there behind. And it is then plan for exit in whatever way that might be. And for some people, they'll say, well, I think the kids will have it. And I say, well, that's absolutely fine. But what if the kids don't want it? What do you do then? Because if you're not setting your business up, I always think if somebody walks into your business and offers you £1 million for it, let's say it's worth £1 million, let's say it's worth £5 million, they offer you a huge amount of money for it, and They say, on the premise that I never have to ask you a question about this business because all the information is available. Are you able to say yes to that or no? And if you can't say yes to it, your business isn't running properly, because you should always be in a position that the business runs so well that anybody could walk in and take over and know what's happening, because anything could happen to you at any point. Or you could lose faith in it, or you could lose the passion, or something could happen in your personal life that means you don't want to do this anymore. And wouldn't it be a waste if you couldn't make money from that? If you just had to close the doors one day and all that work and effort and blood, sweat and tears you put in just disappeared into nothing. So I like to work with people on, what is your life plan? How do we get your business to fit around that? And then what is the plan for your business, and how do we get ready for exit? In whatever way that might be.
That's lovely. That's really refreshing for them. It sounds like you build this really transparent, open, honest relationship with them where they don't feel they're having to hide anything from you, which sounds like a real win-win. So what do you think attracts investors when you're looking at them? And I mean, obviously there's attracting you, but maybe you go into business and that business needs, wants to have additional investors. What is it, do you think, is the essence that attracts an investor?
I think for me, I start with who's the founder, what are their values, are they limited in their mindset, do they believe their business can go as far as it as we can see it can, or are they thinking small? So for me, that's the first thing. The next thing is the finances. Where are we at? Is this a viable business as it is now? Because many people will come asking for investment and they pluck a figure out of thin air. And when you look at the figures, I don't know where that number has come from, and I don't know what you're going to do with it. So for the majority of investors, it's all about the finances. Is your P&L up to date? Is your balance sheet up to date? How do you do your finances? How does it work? Because it's very easy to spot then where the opportunities can come from. If you're not up to date, if you haven't got monthly management accounts, if you can't very quickly find that information, it puts investors off. And not only that, but if you're selling, for example, it reduces the value. The longer it takes you to find some information just shows me that your business is not set up for this, which means if it's not set up for that, what else is it not set up for? And you start to think about all the other things. The next thing for me, and for most people, is people. How many people do we have? What do they do? Do they all understand their roles? Are they the right people? Because without the right people, without the right people, we can't move forward. You can have the best plans in the world, but if the people aren't there and they can't do the job properly, you won't be able to move. And then the next thing along with people is the processes. How efficient are we? How efficient can we be? What opportunities do we have for automation? What processes can we put in place to do that? And then what's the exit? What are they looking for? I think I am very focused on the founder. Like I say, if they've got a great idea but we don't get on, it's not for me. But again, in the same thread, if I know they have to build confidence and we need to do that as part of what I would do, and I do that as my due diligence, I will make sure that we're right for each other, I'm right for them, and that we're going to work well together. For lots of investors, they will just look at the numbers. I send lots of pitch decks on to other investors I know, and they just want figures. They aren't interested in the person. They don't want to know anything about that. They want, how much money do they need? What am I getting back? What is the plan? That's it. It works for some. It's not for me. But I think those kind of 5 things for me that's what I have to look at. And they don't have to be right, but that's my opportunity to come in and grow that. So I think those 5 things are really important to look at. If you are looking for investment, you need to really understand, if my ducks aren't in a row, what does it look like to the investor? Am I an attractive company to invest in? If I, have, I don't know, 20 people or one person doing 5 people's jobs, because I'm thinking, well, that's too much for one person. Now I need to employ more people. Those figures change. So I think that's where I start from an investment point of view.
Yes, lovely. I remember reading Michael Freeman wrote a Harvard Business Review about mental health in entrepreneurs, particularly ones that have received investment. And it can be a huge stress once because you're an entrepreneur, you want to build a business. You don't want to have a sense of having a boss or somebody to be accountable to. How do you manage your relationships with the founders of these businesses that you invest in?
For me, it's very clear. We have outlined exactly what my role is in the business and what theirs is. So we have job descriptions. That's one of the places I start with the founder is, tell me what you are doing. And then out of that, tell me what you enjoy doing and tell me what you are good at doing. And then we have to find all the things that you're not good at doing or you shouldn't be doing and other people can do better. And that's now our employment gaps. For me, we have the job descriptions. They are clear what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. We'll have a weekly meeting or a bi-weekly meeting or a monthly meeting. They're clear on what information I require, but they also know that I am available if they need something, if they're having a problem. Their job is to run the business day to day. My job is to take them out of the business, help them work on their mindset and work on the strategy of the rest of the business and bring in the right people to help them along the way. So it's I think with the founders that I work with, it's very clear. We know where we all stand. We know what's expected. And funnily enough, I spoke to a lady this morning. I've just invested in one of her businesses and she's looking for somebody else to invest in another business that she's got, that she ideally wants to sell it. And the person that's come to her has just said, just tell me what figure you want. And, just tell me what figure and we'll do that. And I said, has he asked for your accounts? And she said, no. And I said, has he asked how the business is run? And she said, no. And I said, well, your goal is to sell half your business now, get this investor in, and then in, a couple of years' time, sell the rest of the business on. So you need to be clear that he's going to grow it. So if he can't be bothered to look at your accounts and put an offer on the table, how is he going to grow your business? And you need to be asking those questions. I think a lot of founders feel when they're asking for investment, like the investor is doing them a favour. And that is true to a degree, but you're also doing the investor a favour. And I am very clear to people that you need to interview the investor. You need to make sure they're the right person and you need to be clear on what you expect from them and what they will get from you. And if you don't have that, I think it's just a recipe for disaster, if I'm honest. I think you need
I've experienced
very, very clear. Yeah. And it's
I
difficult when you aren't sure what to be asking. And that's why I say you need to get other people's opinion. So when she called me this morning, she said, I don't know what to do. And it's difficult because she's in a position where she wants to buy a house. So the money that's coming in is going towards that. And I'm saying the problem is you've got excited. And this isn't the only investor in the world. So you need to make sure they're right. And I think that's hard because they feel there's a sense of, somebody wants to invest in me. And it's great. It's wonderful. You should feel good about that. But there are red flags all over the place if they're doing it in that way. And I think being very clear on expectations is the best way forward.
I think that's such good advice because I had a business after Academy, the business that Thomas and I built and obviously exited. I started another business and it was in a sector I didn't really know. It was in the education sector to bring digital marketing apprenticeship to market. And the first person that came to me to invest, when I wasn't even at that stage, had just exited her training business for 22 million. And I didn't even think about it. And she seemed like a nice lady. And in the end, we exited the business far too soon because there was absolutely no way I could be treated or work with this person anymore. And I just did that leap. I made a gut decision and it was really horrible. So over all this wisdom that you've imparted over sort of 20-25 minutes, people, it's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal how much knowledge you have and experience you have and how many businesses you're helping. Where do you think you got this knowledge from? How did you acquire this knowledge and wisdom?
Failures.
Failures.
I think I am in our family, people got a job and went and worked 9 to 5 and I was different to that. And I had a circle of friends where everybody was like that as well. And when I started my first business, I was met with, why don't you just get a job? And why don't you just, why do you want to do this? And people don't understand the risk. And every time something didn't go to plan, or if it didn't work out, or if I was stressed about it, people would say to me, why don't you just go and get a job now? And I would say, because I've learned now not to do that again.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it better. And every time I've done it, and it's got better and better and better. And I strongly believe that innovation comes from failure.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, you just have not learned your lesson. So every time something's gone wrong or not quite gone to plan, we've looked at why has that happened? Really deep dive into, what could I have done better? What did I do wrong there? What would I do next time? And I think for me, the business journey has been, as everybody's is, completely up and down. You don't know what's going to happen. And I really enjoy that. And I don't have as many Zoom calls as Thomas, but I will take a call from anyone because I don't know where it's going to lead. And the amount that you learn from people it doesn't matter where they are in their life or where they are in their business or even in their employment. For me, it's always about what can I understand from them? How do I get better by talking to these people? What ideas can we have? And I will very often text my founders with something that I've seen and say, we should do this. It's about constantly evolving. And when I look back to how I was when I first started my business at 18, all those terrible, terrible mistakes I made, like signing a 9-year lease without a break clause, and then the business completely going under after 2 years with personal guarantees on the lease, was an absolute disaster. But I can tell you, I have saved hundreds of people from doing the same thing. So although it was really awful at the time, it taught me a lot about how business can go, how you can't really plan for these things, the things that you need to put in to mitigate risk. But then, well, actually, it was really worthwhile because now every time somebody comes to me with a question about a lease, I can tell you, do this, do this, do this, use these people, work with these people. And it's just come from experience. It's just experience. And it is about failing. And I think if we were all completely honest with ourselves, we fail on something every single day. But that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay to do, as long as you acknowledge it and you kind of sit with it for a little bit and go, okay, well, I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't say that again. We would do it differently this time. I think it comes from there. So as much as failure is hard, you have to ask yourself, you have to tell yourself, I'm going to be better after this. And that can be hard depending on the failure. But at some point, you'll understand why it's happened.
Yeah. We have an expression in our family, which I think it was Thomas or Ross got it going, which is bad is good.
Yeah.
And we just say bad is good. And we can just think of all the things that have happened in the past where it felt bad, but it turned out to be good. But that's wonderful, Rebecca. It's absolutely lovely. So in terms of connections, I know you're always looking for people that can help your businesses and the experts. What other sort of people are you looking for? Any investments at the moment you can make?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to looking at investments. Like I said, I'm working with 6 at the moment, new ones, and there's 3 I think coming on board in January. The idea is now that with the people that we've brought on board to help my businesses, we're creating bit of a group of these founders where those people can come in and help them as well, kind of come in as their board as well. So we've got marketing and HR and all those things kind of going on, but the businesses that join my group get to benefit from those experiences and services as well, because they're high value people and the businesses can't always afford what it is. So if we can group the people together, not only do they have a peer group, of people that are doing the same thing as them, so don't feel quite so alone. They get all of this knowledge and experience. So I'm in the process of setting up that with everybody that I'm working with. But yeah, I am open to talking to people about investment all the time. Or even, you know, I'm really happy when people just book a call in with me and say, I'm really struggling with this, can you help? And I will, you know, spend half an hour with them, just kind of pulling out bits where they can move forward, or just putting them in touch with somebody else. I always like to feel that at the end of a call, people feel they've got value from having a conversation with me, whether that's I can invest, I can't invest, I know someone. It doesn't matter. It should always be positive. Is my goal.
That's lovely. And you're obviously on LinkedIn, so Rebecca Sutherland, for anybody that would like to contact Rebecca. Obviously, you can contact Thomas or I, and we can put you in touch. If you're a BIPper, you know how to find Rebecca. And that was wonderful. I just want to finish really here. You know, you are a dynamic young woman. To me, you are a young woman, gotten a lot of experience, but you're also a mum. How many kids is it you have?
4.
4 children.
4 children. Yeah.
And you know, you said early in the conversation, you know, life is important. You do have you make sure that you don't burn yourself out, don't you? You really have a good balance.
Yeah. And I think it helps then when you talk to founders, because there's this theme that if you own a business, you have to be working 80 hours a week, and you know, have to be so busy and so stressed out all the time. And I think, okay, we do have to work hard, and sometimes we have to make those sacrifices, but I absolutely don't subscribe to missing out on your children growing up and missing out on family because you've got a business. And that's why I like to set the business up around your life and plan it around. It's not feasible for you to work 80 hours a week. So for me, it's really important, you know, when I die, I don't want my kids to say, oh, she was never there. I didn't really know her because she was never there. You know, people remember how you make them feel. And I want my kids to know that I was there all the time. So the businesses are massively important. I think it's really important for children to see their parents doing these things, especially women. You know, we have to show that this is possible, but I think we have to be realistic with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And now for me, having kids in their late 20s, early 30s, will never regret the fact that and that was the joy of becoming an entrepreneur. And you know, I was 28, I had a really good career. I was earning very good money because I'd joined the IT industry at the right time, but there was no way I could stay employed and be the mum that I wanted to be. So that's what is so liberating. So it's good messages there as well from you about just balancing life. So Becca, that was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. And please message Rebecca if you've enjoyed this chat, and if you feel that Rebecca can help you or any of your clients. And many, many thanks again, Rebecca.
Thank you, Penny.